What's up, Rockstars? It's that time of year again. That's right, it is insane right now on Kickstarter. And yes, I said only Kickstarter, more on that later, but seriously, there's some mega multi-million-dollar hits live right now. Some are just coming up, some I've never even covered before. Let's dive into everything that's cool right now for board games. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank my patrons. There's a link down below to my Patreon. If you appreciate videos like this where I go over all of the stuff that I'm covering in depth like this, then please consider checking that out. Again, that's linked down below. Thank you so much. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to start with kind of an indie spotlight, as it were. This is a game that I think looks kind of neat, that you may not be aware of, that's very indie. There's a lot of big names I'm covering right now with some awesome IP and a whole bunch of other stuff. There are still all those little guys though too. I want to make sure to give them some love. And considering I don't have to worry necessarily about only covering the big stuff, I have the freedom to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead. Helionox Chronicles is actually funded right now at $19,504 for 379 happy backers. It has 7 days to go, so still like a week left. And there's going to be some last minute ones here for a while. This is actually in a world that they kind of made. They made one a while back, like it delivered like 2017, something like that, like a long time ago. And this is a deck building game that's like asymmetrical co-op. Looks like actually it's pretty darn cool. The art, as you can see, is like amazing. It has a whole bunch of information here on what you can do, unlockable content. Infinite replayability, customizable starting decks, unique art pieces, blah, blah, blah. It covers kind of all of that. So feel free to take a look at this and see if it's something you like. I think Rado really liked it, I think I heard, which is, I think, pretty cool. You get a whole bunch of different cards, stuff like that. And it's only 49 bucks, guys. So that is nice too. That's super cool. There are unlocking stretch goals like this new architect, for instance, stuff like that. So feel free to check that out, give them some love, and don't forget about the little guys when it comes to Kickstarter. It's not all just mega projects. Speaking of mega projects, though, guys, it's big for a reason. It's because people like it and want it, right? So they're at 9,300 backers. They just launched yesterday at the time of recording here. Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the board game by Archon Studio, and they are knocking it out of the park. 1.3 million. They actually have been very engaged with the community. I've been surprised. Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. They are like this every time they launch something. Actually really good with that. They even commented on my video talking about the combat board and that they're, still working on it and, working on making it as awesome as it can be. So I really do appreciate their efforts on that regard and their outreach on stuff like that, including even criticism. I think that's wonderful. They're unlocking the tower expansion for free for everybody. They're about halfway through, as you can see, and they've already added a whole bunch of stuff. But it's not just like the tower faction. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of stuff. They were like they have the Grail miniature and stuff like that. A whole bunch of really cool stuff they've unlocked. Let me go and take a quick meandering look at what they have available there, because they came out of the gate with their expansions all out there and stuff like that. So the price, even for the all-in, is like 124 bucks essentially. I think it is right now. This or 169. I apologize, but 175 bucks. The other one, the collector pledge, has some like art and stuff like that, which is cool, but it's not gameplay. Take a quick look here, big old long scroll here, and you'll see some of the stuff that they're unlocking, and it's honestly a lot. I mean, a lot of these miniatures and cards and stuff like that, right? But they have some really cool stuff, some more expansion tiles. But they're also unlocking like city miniatures, which is cool. An hourglass prop. They have the Grail, like I said, they have that going on. So just some really cool stuff. It looks like they're going to keep doing things, which again, it's going to make it more and more cool on the table. which is great to see. So I was honestly pretty surprised by this game. It looked kind of to me at first, actually. I'm going to be completely honest, but after playing, I actually had a lot of fun with it. Moving on from that, we have the Curse of Candelabria. These are from Lunar Oak Studio. They did Sheol. They have a realistic funding goal of $124,000. They are raised $23,000, which is actually pretty slow going. It normally is with them. They're very much an indie group, but also they do things kind of their own way. So they didn't launch on Tuesday, for instance. They launched on Wednesday, and they launched at a kind of an odd time. So kind of really early in the AM for about half of America at least. So it's because then they can be there. They're based in Italy, as you can see, which is, I understand that, but it is definitely a slumbering hour for a lot of your backers, and so they kind of sneak in there, if that makes sense. But honestly, again, same thing. I actually had a lot of fun with this one. This one was pretty darn cool. I really like the candle system here. It's easy, it's nuanced. As you can see, not nearly the outreach, right? I mean, besides me, there's a few others, but just a handful of kind of coverage. So definitely not the eyes that you get on everything, but the deluxe pledge, 79 euros, guys. So it's not actually too bad at all. Some beautiful art here. They do have a 6-player expansion with a candle elephant with a city on its back. So that's a thing as well. Anyway, that is available and still funding. Go ahead and check that out. Again, show them some love if it's something that looks of interest to you. If you want to back it plus other stuff, maybe considering dollar backing the other stuff and backing the people that actually need it. Moving on, we have Werewolf: The Apocalypse Retaliation, 475,000. Guys, it's all from it's FlyOS, so the same people that did the Vampires the Masquerade. It's in that universe, which means it's of course getting some love. And it's got wolves, guys. It's got wolves. You know how much I love that. I actually don't care about werewolves. I don't know if you knew this or not, but wolves, I'm down with it. I'm cool. Got some really great art here. It's very much it almost seems more of like a skirmish thing, but then it also has all these scenarios, like 30 plus scenarios in it, stuff like that. So kind of interesting. I need to look more into the gameplay, of course, but they have a ton of stuff. You can get it all pre-painted with 15 to 20 operations. I love that they say that, how many operations you're getting. 15 to 20 is a very nice amount. These minis should look quite good painted. Just a whole bunch of different stuff you can do. So feel free to check this out. They have a ton of information there, which is great for them to do. And the core pledge is about $113. Remember, that is Canadian US dollaroos, which isn't quite as much as the USD. So it's not actually 150. It's about 100, a little bit less than 120, about standard for today's day. Now we also have Gatefall Standard Edition and Deluxe Edition reprint. This is very interesting. If you recall, they did have Boglands, but they canceled this on the 3rd and launched this on the 8th. And this is a quick kind of Spitfire campaign that they threw up here. There's two new editions or versions, a Standard Edition and Deluxe Edition, but it's all the same Gatefall they've released before. So not really anything new here, just kind of a rebranding of what's been available before. And it's funding about according to what you would think of a quick Spitfire here. This will fund kind of thing. 10,000 from a 5,000 goal. The Boglands, by the way, had a $60,000 goal and only raised 16. So it's raised less than the Boglands, but it also is far less than the goal. 270 backers compared to 200 backers. So the Boglands was actually doing better. It's just it needed a lot more. This is a reprint. All the sculpts are already sculpted. All the art's already done. They just got to print the darn thing. So it's a lot easier for them to do that. That's why there's a lower goal, of course. They just kind of have to do a minimum print run, I imagine. That being said, I don't know. So, and they might list it here. He wants to go kind of all in on this Gatefall thing, right? He's got Monsters planned early January. Boglands is coming back on the 23rd. They got Cobra Mode, which is a fantastic Patreon for some amazing 3D printed miniatures. You can see cool style coming 2023. 80s Zombies coming 2023. Bounty Hunters is kind of working on. Wild West also working on. Kung Fu also working on. Deep Space Fleet, this is a new one, also working on. And then Lost in the Northwoods art thing. He's already did one thing like this. I guess he's doing it again. Guys, it is a ton. That is a lot for a thing that is, I think the max he raised was like $86,000 on the first Gatefall. I actually thought Gatefall was a pretty decent game. It had some okay minis. It was cheaper, but it kind of matched that price, of course. It was a little simple with the promise of it being expanded later on, but I don't know, it looks like it's just more character packs than actual like mechanics layer on that. So it's not something I would play a whole bunch. And it just seems odd to like really be spamming it out. I don't know. Interesting. Let me know what you guys think about that. Speaking of relaunches, Anawak relaunched. 94 backers, 17,000 up for 41,000 gold. I don't see this happening. In fact, I don't see it happening ever. Which is interesting because they've done a whole lot, from the art to the design to all the miniature sculpts and all that. This game board looks weird to me. It looks like a video game. It's very bright compared to everything else. I mean, I don't know what's going on with it. It's very blocky. I don't like the map at all. I'm wondering if that's it. And notice this is like the old version, so I think this might be a new version that they did. But it's much more colorful now. I actually like this one more, though both of them seem kind of odd. Yeah, see, look how bright this is now. It's like a cartoon. Very interesting. Anyway, go ahead and check a look at what is that? Take a look at some of the art, some of the minis, some of the gameplay. It's a point-based system where you build your army. See if it's something you like. If it is, feel free to support them. But I don't see it happening. I just don't think the demand's there. And it's one of those things where it's not just like a build it and they will come. It has to be something marketable that the industry wants to make it feasible, even on Kickstarter. It might make the mass market things feasible, but it still needs to be able to be mass manufactured, or at least in the way that you want to. There are ways of printing out your own minis and doing that kind of stuff, and doing like Kinko's run, getting stuff printed off in certain ways. There's whole companies actually on Kickstarter that don't get even coverage on my channel hardly ever, that just make essentially games for their friends, more or less. They're few rabid fans. This one, though, never going to be marketed enough, I think, to have a Chinese mass market thing happening. All right, moving on, we have Forged, a massive miniature collection. Again, relaunched. Guys, there are so many big games that either were just around, that are now, or that are coming out, that these companies are just really trying to, get shown and get the limelight and get people's money. And that's the problem, is you only got so much money to kind of divvy out. I don't know if you noticed or not, but that's why I'm divvying out the dollar. I'm right there with you guys. I was like, I don't know if I want to go all in on everything. Let's just put $1 on some stuff and see. And it's kind of it's not fair necessarily to them, but at the same time, consumers have to we got to do what we got to do. And it's coming Christmas time, so I understand. Anyway, this is a relaunch. It was on BackerKit twice. It's left BackerKit and is now on Kickstarter at $32,000 with a $50,000 goal, $279. They say they're getting better and better at the offer, and I think they are, for sure. Obviously, the more you pitch it, the better you become at it, and the more you can work on deals with manufacturers and stuff like that. So that's great. That's cool. And the move to Kickstarter, I think, is a smart deal. The problem, I think, is that we've seen this 3 times. I've covered this 3 times now. It's hard to get excited about something you've already seen just recently over and over again, just to see it canceled over and over again. 3 times is a lot to relaunch. Best of luck to them. 32,050. I think they can definitely reach it. I think if they do, they need to reach it before Elden Ring comes out on the 22nd. More on that later. But cool. It's cool minis. It certainly is. I dig it. It's a lot of cool stuff. It's tough times out there without launching 3 times. The Last of Us Escape in the Dark, 593,000 raised, so they are doing quite good for themselves. They just broke 6,000 backers. Congratulations. 16 days still to go. This is big for them. Now, it is not The Last of Us big, if that makes sense, according to what the IP, I think, can bring. However, it's right in between. I think the HBO thing is, I think it's launching January, they said, the TV series. Obviously, the Last of Us 2 came out kind of a while back now. Even the remaster on PS5 came out a while ago. So it's kind of in between releases here. So it's not necessarily the biggest buzz ever. And it seemed like we found out about it and then they launched it. It was very quick. So a very quick lead in there. So I think people are still finding out about it as well. But either way, they're doing good. They're showing it off, I think, quite well. If you look at it and they talk about the different story elements, they show off the minis. They're still definitely working on it. Again, I feel like they launched this maybe a little quicker. I think they would have done better in January, to be honest. I want to be honest. With the HBO thing going on and them getting all the renders done and kind of being more prepared, I think they would have done even better. But, hey, what was it? $593,000? That ain't nothing. That being said, Slay the Spire, my goodness, 3,356,000 from 24 1,000 backers. That is a lot of people, guys. Slay the Spire is a fun video game. I'm sure it makes a fun board game. It looks like it plays pretty much the exact same, which I guess makes sense because the video game's just a virtual card game, right? So except it is kind of co-op, so there's a little bit of difference there. Their Kickstarter page here still leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to actually telling you about the game. It's not a whole lot. They didn't have a lot of outreach. I think they have one video from, what was it, Alex, I think? That showed it off. I probably just skipped it. You know, it's hard to just find one video. Okay, let's see. Reviews. They got that one and the Quack. Okay, so the same person pretty much, right? And then they have a few playthroughs, but that's from the brothers Murph and Jorbs. I've never even heard of Jorbs. Hello, Jorbs. Anyway, yeah, again, it's one of those things where sometimes, man, if you got the right IP and people have been signed up long enough and it just works out for you, you can do quite well with kind of lower effort. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, you know, honestly, there's just some pictures of some of the stuff you get. Very, very bare. I mean, if you didn't play the video game, you have no idea how to play this game off this. You're going to have to go watch a video somebody else made to tell you about it. And yeah, either way, they're doing great. So that's cool. I'm glad people are getting something they want. At the end of the day, that's what we want, right? Is cool products at a good price that we're willing to give them. And that's obviously one of them. The Thinning Veil, 80,000 raised, 486 backers. They are still trucking along, and I think that's super cool. 13 days to go, though. I don't see them making it to 177,000, especially with, again, Elden Ring coming out. I think that's going to suck up a lot, just regardless of anything. It's gonna reach 1 million in a day at least, and kind of be all this crazy stuff. We all know it's going to be the case. You just kind of have to take your money and run while you can, I think. Because at the end of the day, we only got so many bucks, hence the dollar thing I talked about earlier. They have definitely improved their page somewhat. They do have, you know, some bullet points. Why is it unique? Stuff like that. Some of these don't sound necessarily very unique to me. And I think that's kind of the main struggle here. I mean, the miniatures look cool, right? I get that. They didn't really do a lot of outreach. They do have a learn to play now, and of course I covered them a little bit, but you know, no prototypes to kind of send out. Not a lot of other content creators are necessarily covering it or can cover it. They've added stuff after the fact a lot, but certainly wasn't there day one. They do have a realistic funding goal, which is always difficult. Showed that on the Candelabria thing as well. And yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate. Again, it's not really a thing of if you build it, they will come. And it's a bad time on Kickstarter. I mean, it just is. There's so many things going on. You saw how much money Slay the Spire is taking out of everybody's wallets. And while it's not a zero-sum game, it is a finite resource. There is only so much money that can be thrown around by so many people. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. So, yeah, really crazy time to be launching right now, too. I think second launch, they can probably do a lot better, especially if they can get more people to kind of experience it and see it. It's kind of hard just to make a game and then, I mean, like the Slay the Spire, for instance, and Heroes of Might and Magic, people have played the video game, they have some sense to go off of. You don't really have a lot to go off of here. Again, they have a learn to play video now, but it's just one of those things where if you don't know how to play it, you know, do you want another dungeon crawl? You know, you gotta sell that, right? So that's kind of difficult. But anyway, that is there as well. Wander LaCluck's Revenge did fund. It's actually broken $100,000. It's the little board game that could. 53 hours still to go. And they're still unlocking stretch goals and stuff. So I think that's super awesome. Man, where was it? Such a long scroll, guys. Such a long scroll. But again, like look at all these videos. See, all these people kind of had experience with it and was able to share about it. Like, that's what I think you need to do it. Even then, they kind of did, they do have a Darkwing Duck kind of thing going on here. Super cool. A Skunk Witch is coming out. So that's cool. Not a winch. I mean, I guess you could do that too, but whatever. Zone Wars Mutant Year Zero multiplayer Skirmish Mayhem, also over 100,000, over 1,000 backers, so 5 days to go. Looks super cool. It's right about where it was last time I showed it. It does all come washed, so you actually get your minis looking like this, which is pretty cool. And again, it also has some cool characters for sure. And I covered this a while ago, but Monty Python's RPG, tabletop RPG, like Dungeons & Dragons style, has 41 hours to go, so it is kind of the last time you're going to be able to click it while it's live. 1.7 million raised, 13,000 and a half backers. You do get a coconut dice thing, so you can shake it around and roll it, which is awesome. It looks kind of funny. It looks very funny, actually. Essentially, it's the dungeon master is like the director trying to like do a program of some kind, right? Like a TV show, movie. And everybody else are these like crazy characters that are just ridiculous. And then the DM can even get fired if he loses control. So he's trying to control. It sounds very Monty Python. It sounds very unique. Sounds hilarious. I dig it. Next up, Elden Ring, the board game. Guys, I mentioned it several times. November 22nd is when it come out. They did have a huge event in Manchester that I was invited. I wasn't able to go, which is very unfortunate. It really is, because I would have loved to share more about it. They did have a combat update, 2 combat updates. So I'll be doing a video covering the combat and my thoughts on it in a little while. So stay tuned for that, of course. And there are a lot of other content creators that were able to, fly out and kind of do the whole pizzazz experience things. Let me know if you want me to discuss my thoughts on that, because I can see both sides, I think, of the conversation in that. And coming from the video game industry, in a way, I can definitely, when it comes to like being invested in it and stuff like that, I can definitely speak on events like this when it comes to product launches and whatnot. So anyway, that's there too. Also, I'm going to try and still chat with Steamforged Games, and I'll try and share any information I get from that with you guys as well. For sure. And Age Contrived, this is another thing I wanted to show you guys, is because I love the pitch of this. And when I talk about pitches, I kind of mean stuff like this. So, like, this looks cool. Only 824 followers so far. It's a Euro game with engine building and fantasy gods. That's actually probably the worst thing. I mean, I'm sure, but how many of those do you have? Quite a few, I imagine. But if you go to their website, one of the cool things is just straight to the point, right? It says a tabletop game of engine building and fantasy gods. Okay, we got that, right? But one thing it talks about, 5 different ways to build your engine. So it kind of talks about the game a little bit. But really, look at this. Components first. If IKEA and Etsy teamed up to make a board game, it would look like this. With gameplay supporting components never seen before in tabletop, you get the most tactile experience that we can put on a table. That's already fantastic. It really is cool to see that they're really kind of focused on the fact that this is a physical product that you're buying. It's not a video game, and that the components and table presence impact the game. It's why I've been so focused on miniatures. I know a lot of people scoff at miniatures, but honestly, when it comes to being engrossed in a board game and that tactile feel, those can do a lot for that. They really can. It's not the only thing that can, but you can see they have a little 3D terrain here. We'll look at that in a little bit. Euro design ethos, inspired by modern classics, a bar of comparison is high. Taste familiar flavors while experiencing new and unique mechanisms, such as flexible programming. You'll be encouraged to plan ahead, but required to adapt in order to come away victorious. Again, all of this sounds great. Look at this last part. This is what made me share this with you. Demand more from your games. Engaging gameplay, immersive theme, beautiful artwork, and satisfying components. These are qualities that you shouldn't need to choose between when picking your next game. Join us for asking more with an Age of Contrived. What a... that's like chef's kiss stuff for there, right? I love that. Demand more of your games. You're going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this junk. It shouldn't be junk. Should it be? Let's see, what else we got? Oh, yeah, that's right. Come on, announce the Stranger Things game. So there's that. It just broke records on Netflix. This was actually announced on the Summer Spectacular Mega Announcement video for the Dice Tower, so that was cool of them to be able to get this. It's going to retail in 2023, so no Kickstarter or anything like that, just straight to retail. It's going to sell like hotcakes. You guys know this. It's Stranger Things. It's a board game in retail. It's going to do wonderful. It's just how it is. Hopefully it's good. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but everything I covered was on Kickstarter. That wasn't on purpose. I checked Backer Kit. There's nothing cool going on there. The one thing that was there, which was forged, moved to Kickstarter. I checked Gamefound. This is what's on Gamefound. There is a Tabrets, that's doing okay. And a Trick Shot, I covered that before. That's doing pretty good. It has like 23 hours left at time of recording. But, it's not that these games aren't cool. I'm not trying to pass judgment on it. It's just, it is not on fire either, right? And you look at upcoming. What's going on with that? This is the hottest time of crowdfunding you can possibly have. Q4 of any year is always fire. That, again, Elden Ring's going to come out. It's going to explode. I covered several multi-million-dollar games out right now just in this single video. And there's nothing like even reaching 300,000 on Gamefound. And there's nothing really coming up that looks super cool in my opinion. Of course, like everything I cover. Let me know your thoughts on that. How are BackerKit and Gamefound holding up? I've kind of noted this a few times. I'm not trying to like talk down to them. I want Kickstarter to have some good competition, but I worry this isn't providing good competition. Not if people aren't jumping ship for it. If it makes sense to them to eat the 5% that Kickstarter takes and then but get 7% more backers or whatever. Then obviously that's what you do, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. But so that's a one-off on Gamefound. There's not a whole lot really to show you guys except Kickstarter. It's like it's a couple years ago again. So yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts on that or anything else. Again, stay tuned for the Elden Ring video. Again, I will be having a chat with Steamforged Games soon. I'll be showing you about all the combat, specifically just the combat. We're going to be talking about that and my thoughts on that, having played Elden Ring for far too many hours. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I know this was a longer video. I sometimes try to break these up, but there's just a ton to cover. So thanks for sticking to the end, of course. And if you appreciate the effort that these videos take, there is that Patreon link down below. Thank you so much. This is a very expensive hobby, as you guys well know. So hopefully I can help you find a good use of your money and you don't waste it on something that maybe won't fit right for you. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.